Tom again. Today is March 31st, 2025, and so today, Monday, is the 5th week since I had my spinal fusion surgery on February 24th, 2025. The surgeon who performed the surgery, I'll now talk about him now that I believe I've had a tremendous result, is Dr. Steve Gilman with Hammett UPMC Neurosurgery Center. I believe he did an outstanding job. Had some really nice folks that I talked with originally at the Cleveland Clinic, and had some steroid epidural injections with their pain management folks, and that wasn't very effective. I had a couple of referrals to spine surgeons over at the Cleveland Clinic, and I actually looked for a quote-unquote second opinion from Steve Gilman here in Erie, because I wasn't 100% satisfied, and you have to be satisfied with the information you're receiving. I noticed that I do not have my back brace on right now. I have not been released to remove it full time. I am anticipating that will be something that I'm told next Monday on my 6-week Zoom meeting with my physician or with his assistants. And I'm just not wearing the brace right now because I chose not to. Probably should be, but I just happen not to have it on. But I should. Yes, dear, I know I should have it on. As I said in a very brief little update to my condition, I wanted to make sure that I noted, exactly what I had done. So I had an L2 to L5 lumbar decompression laminectomy. I also had an L4 to L5 transforaminal lumbar interbody fusion, also known as a TILF. I originally was scheduled to have the lumbar decompression laminectomy for L3 to L5, but after a review of my clinical findings prior to the surgery, Dr. Gilman said better go with the L2 as well. Now, one thing I don't think I mentioned at all is that I did not have anything related to the S1, and I believe, I have my own working theories after consulting with Dr. Google extensively, but my working theory is that by not having the fusion go all the way down to the S1, that I'm optimistic that I might have some slightly enhanced degree of mobility, or retained some degree of mobility that would otherwise have been lost with a fusion extending below the L5 to the S1. And of course, I've done all the research saying that you cause stress on the adjoining facets of the adjoining vertebrae that are not fused or so affected, but that's just something I'm going to have to deal with, as we all do in the process of aging. But I wanted to report, of course, as noted, that Dr. Steve Gilman is a surgeon that I visited and had my surgery with at Hammett UPMC, and I do think he did an outstanding job. So here we are, 5 weeks out. One theme that has been common as I've reviewed my own video history on my progress prior to and now subsequent to the surgery, and that is that I'm still pain-free. I'm still able to walk. I'm still able to do all of the things that I'd hoped I'd be able to do, and to do those things pain-free. I am still overweight. I still need to lose another good 30 pounds to hit the weight that I want. I did lose 40 pounds prior to the surgery. I've lost about 5 pounds since I've come home. Still, this is obvious, and that was the main reason why I didn't put the brace on, is to be honest, yeah, I need to lose some additional weight. But I thought by losing the weight prior to the surgery on my own terms, without medicine, without taking any of the diet drugs or anything, that it would hopefully alleviate weight and therefore pressure on my spine. And I believe that has been very effective. I think it's obviously, I'm delighted that I was able to do that. And the one one thing I also don't know that I mentioned at any great length is that in the last year and a half, I developed bilateral numbness in both of my feet, with my left foot being more numb than my right. I would refer to and I've gone to a very wonderful foot doctor, a podiatrist, gone to my family physician, gone to my cardiologist, looking to make sure that I wasn't having any numbness associated with diabetes or high blood pressure or anything like that. So the numbness is truly related to the spinal condition that I'm experiencing and the nerve impingement which I had prior to the surgery. Since the surgery, I would refer to, if you were to use a scale of 1 to 10, and I always like to cheat and use my own numbers, but on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, for the degree of numbness, I would say my left foot numbness is a 12. That was original. I mean, this would be during the last year and a half. That numbness actually developed after I received my first steroid injection at the Cleveland Clinic, this first steroid epidural injection. I'd be delighted to know if anyone, number one, has watched any of these videos, other than my immediate family members, or myself, looking for errors to make sure that I said things more or less correctly. But it'd be interesting to know if anybody has had any experience with developing numbness in their feet following a steroid injection. Now, I'm not looking to sue anybody, even if I found out that it was 100% due to the steroid injections. That's just the way things went. I was doing the best I could. Everyone was doing the best they could. And as an attorney, one thing I do is I do not sue doctors, because the last thing you want to do is wake up on an operating table, look up, and see the face of a man or woman that just ruined their life or caused it to be more miserable than it needed to be. We all make mistakes, and I'm grateful for the consideration that my clients have always given to me over the years to be patient with me. I've always said that good things come when we expect blessings from above. We pray, we ask God to provide blessings for us, and my clients, almost without exception, have agreed with me. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with how most of them put it, but they come up with the same general conclusion that we've been blessed by God. But the way most of them refer to it is, yes, Tom, with you as my attorney, it was a miracle that we got anything at all. So anyway, with that having been said, with the bilateral foot or numbness, I do have sensitivity. I did have sensitivity, but I can't curl my toes very well on either foot, and I used to be able to pick up very small objects on the floor, a piece of paper, a pencil, and just as long as your feet were uncovered and bare, that I always just had great flexibility with my toes and picking things up, and that was gone. I couldn't feel anything. I would try it, and I would drop things, or it just wasn't working well. So now, at this time, 5 weeks after the surgery, I would say my left foot is about at the 7th level. So there has been a significant improvement in my left foot. My right foot was always more like 50% of the numbness of my left foot, and my right foot, I would say, is about 70% improvement now. So I am noticing improvement. I've been told, Dr. Google has told me that it could take up to a year and a half to get nerve function restored. And one of the things Dr. Google talks about is that as that nerve function is returning, that you can and will feel sharp pinpricks or sensations of using my feet. So you can see that my numbness has improved, and I'm grateful for that. It does not interfere with my walking. I was afraid that it might. I was afraid that it might have some lack of sensation. Last night I went walking with my son and wife on a local nature center boardwalk, and I take my time, and they like to walk rather fast. So I told them, after going around the boardwalk once, I said, "Well, you guys continue on. I'm just going to mosey along and listen to the spring peepers." And as soon as they were out of sight, I took my shoes off and walk barefoot, and I was much more comfortable that way. But not that I was more comfortable, but I was able to walk and have, total control, and I wasn't weak, I wasn't stumbling, and I haven't had any difficulties like that with walking. And I've discovered that I can walk, and I haven't tried to exceed the distances that I walk by going for any marathons or anything. The most I've walked so far would be like 15,000 steps. I think I originally reported I was like at 4,500 steps a day just doing routine activities. That's up now to about 10,000 steps daily. And when I do a double walk or a little further walk, then it goes up to the 15,000 steps. So I'm increasing that, but I've never had any limitation. I've never said, oh, I've gone as far as I can go, I better stop and take a rest. It's more, I'm basically lazy, and when I'm ready to stop, I take a break. I'm going to take a little quick look at my notes, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned things here that I might not have mentioned before. My wound healed completely several weeks ago. No difficulties with that. They told me not to scratch it, and it itched furiously. And I was told not to stand for an extended period of time under a hot shower, but I've now been released to do that. But even though I was told not to itch the scar itself, and it's a pretty good scar, I have scratched it. And one of the things that happened almost immediately is it seemed to me that I dislodged many rock hard, almost like diamond-like black concentrations, which I'm sure is dried blood that was, in the little cavities of the wound as it was healing. And I was able to scratch those out. And I'm telling you right now, I am so glad that I did, even though they told me not to scratch my back, because I feel that would have grown over and I would have these little nodules probably. And I would take my fingernail and try to crush them, and I could barely crush them. So I'm glad to get those out. No one said anything to me about that being a possibility. But as I said, the wound is healed. It looks hideous. It looks like when I first had the surgery, and it's only 5 weeks ago, I felt like I had like a 14-inch caterpillar with steel feet just crawling back and forth in place on my spine. And it was extremely itchy. No pain. Well, I have a little bit of pain, like when the staples were removed. For the next week or so, I would have intermittent spikes of little pinpricks of pain where a particular staple had been removed. And I know that was because it was healing over, and then I might turn a little bit, separate it, and like break the scar where it was healing, and that would cause an instant sensation of just a very, very minor realization that there was a little bit of pain associated with where that staple had been. But now it's totally gone. Everything's fine. Itching is down to maybe 5%, and so that's good. So let me just take another look at my notes. Should have this all better prepared. I apologize. But as you all know, no one's watching this anyway. I can stand. One of the things I discovered, previously, right, for years, like for 20 years, if I had to do something where I had to stand still, watching a crowd, watching a parade, doing something where I wasn't moving around, I would move from foot to foot, and I had difficulty standing in one place. I know I have restless leg syndrome, and I'm like bouncing around all the time, and I don't know what that's all about, or if that's a problem that I should look into. But I've had that forever, ever since I was a little kid, and my mother had it, and like on her deathbed, she's just like, Anyway, I think it's just part of life for some folks, and if it isn't, and you know better than me, please inform me in the comments. But so far, I think everything that is medically wrong with me, I've been trying to aggressively treat or adequately treat. But I did have difficulty for years, for as long as I can remember. That's why I say 20 years, standing still, and had an opportunity yesterday to have to stand perfectly still for about 10 minutes and participating in some activity. And I was delighted, and amazed and constantly during the experience, having the thought go through my head that, wow, I have no pain, no discomfort, I'm not moving around, I feel great. And that's what I'd like to end with today, is that, as I said, before many times, I do not understand why I don't have residual pain or problems. I watched a video last night for somebody who did a video, I think it was in 2022 or something, and it was a 10-month follow-up for his report, and he was talking about limitations and, like hoping he could get back to hiking without restrictions, that he had tried and had some difficulty, that he had had some difficulty with some of his other activities, that he hadn't taken like pain medicine for, I think it was a month or so.